Let's go with that. Brilliant. So a very warm welcome to today's Live Well Live webinar. Just to get started, for anyone who's not been here before, I am Ruth Taylor. I am the nutritionist with Boots Online Doctor Service and also a registered nurse. And we very much enjoy bringing these webinars to you as many weeks as we possibly can, just to really support you on your weight loss journeys. We have a series of around 12 webinars, no, 14, I think it is now, webinars that we've created for you. They're all based on the latest evidence around weight management. And really, the whole purpose is for supporting you and also cutting through all of the confusing conversations that there are out there in the world, on social media, the books, the magazine articles, the TikTok generation, all of these things that completely confound and confuse us. We wanted to get rid of all of that clutter as much as possible and just bring some really basic, helpful, evidence-based information for you. Just to caveat that, we know that there will be some people here today who have got medically orientated questions. So if you are bringing along any of those medical questions, we really ask you to direct those to your weight medication provider, or if it is not about weight loss medication, just please speak to your GP or whoever your medical provider is. We are very happy to answer generic questions, and we always share some slides with you on the subject of the webinar, and then we'll take all of the questions towards the end. If you have brought questions with you, please pop those into the Q&A box or into the chat box, and we have Raman here helping us to share any links that are helpful for you and also just to help us filter through those questions. So really, really want to support you on your journeys. I'm based in Hampshire. It's freezing today for some reason, really chilly and cold. Do say hello, tell us where you are. We really love to hear from you. And do ask any questions you have. There is no such thing as a silly question. If you're thinking it, somebody else will be thinking it too. And we really want this to be helpful. One thing that you can take away that makes a difference to you, we'll be really happy. And now, Alison, over to you. Very
I'm
happy
beginning
to
to
be
wonder.
inviting Alison along today. So sorry, Alison, what were you saying?
Well, I'm just beginning to wonder if it's really sunny outside because it seems to be grey and murky everywhere. But
Oh,
I'm sure the sun was shining in London this morning.
are you
But
living in the
anyway,
cloud of sunshine? Oh, how lovely. Oh, you're in Southampton. Oh, you're
yes.
just down the road, Steve. I am just up the road from you. It is yucky here. So you're in
Um,
your own little cloud, Alison. Alison, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are.
I am my cloud of sunniness.
Happy New
Oh,
Year.
there we go. It's sunny in Lincolnshire.
Well, you're not there though, are you?
Who, me?
Okay.
Very
Do say,
tendencies.
do,
Putting me off,
sorry.
Ruth. Okay. I'm Alison Taylor Lamb. Welcome everyone to the webinar. This is my fourth one actually. I've been
Yay.
involved in the webinars. Thanks to Ruth and Sam for inviting me. Um, yeah, and I've been working. I've done quite a lot of loss work with children. Back in my earlier days, and then I really became involved in weight loss for adults since working with Boots Online Doctor. Although I did see it quite a lot in general practice, to be fair, but nothing as intense as what Boots Online Doctor offers. So, yeah, really pleased to be here and join in and hopefully, yeah, provide some more motivation about keeping going, really.
Very much so. So we'd love to know, what would you like to know? And we're just interested to hear from you. We've got our first poll for anyone who's not been here before. And we do tend to run polls during the webinar. We've only got a couple today, but we're really interested to hear from you. We'd love to know if you've been with us before, whether this is your first time. If it is your first time, I'd love to know, if you don't mind sharing and you're happy to share, please do. If you're not, please don't worry. But what's brought you today? What actually made you think, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go along to that webinar. We'd love to know what inspired you to come because we're really keen to find a way of supporting our very large weight loss audience. We want to really be here for you as much as we possibly can, and this really motivates us to make a difference. So please do let us know. I can see from those that have answered the poll that around or about 30% of you are new today. So welcome for your first journey in. I really hope you take away something helpful. And a few of you have been to more than 5. So there you go. Hopefully the ones who are new today will come back again. Hopefully you'll find this helpful. So thank you. We also have an amazing series of podcasts that you can listen to on any of the podcast channels. So Raman, if you don't mind sharing a link for the podcasts, do please have a look at those. And we also tend to record the webinars, and now we share the replay of the webinar on the YouTube channel. So if there's anything you want to go back over or you want to recap on anything, then you can look at it again. Unfortunately, they do sometimes not record, and that was the situation with last week's webinar, which was a terrible shame actually, because it was the first outing of that one, and so really sad. Great. So no real questions, just saying, or somebody's in Barcelona and it's sunny. I would hope it would be sunny in Barcelona. So thank you. Freezing, Rachel, in the Highlands. Sorry, and chilly, Kent, and sunny. Okay, so there is some sunshine. We just need to share it across the country, please. So today, Alison, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. So today we are looking at mindset, how your mind how your mindset makeover, your mindset makeover for lasting weight loss. Sorry. So why is mindset so essential? Because we might try our best efforts to lose weight in a practical sense, but if our mind isn't set correctly, then it doesn't matter how much we try to lose weight, our mind will override our efforts and get in the way of success. So we need to align our minds to make it purposeful, and to help us to achieve our goals for greater clarity and success. So this is just a quick but transformative session designed to leave you with actionable insights. So let's look at the definition. Mindset is the lens through which you view challenges, opportunities, and growth. And when we look at growth versus fixed mindset, and this is from the work of an American psychologist called Carol Dweck, who says growth, meaning we can learn and improve, but fixed is where you have a very tunnel visioned mindset. So you're either good or bad at something, and that's unchangeable. So it's really essential in a weight loss project to adopt a flexible mindset, and one that can develop and learn through the process. And it will chop change, good days, bad days, but on the whole, our mind has to be adapted to help us lead the way and be successful with our weight loss. So of course we know that weight loss is a long-term journey that requires consistent effort, and there's no getting away from that, unfortunately. But a positive mindset helps maintain motivation even when progress is slow or setbacks occur. And just an example here, instead of viewing a slip up as a failure, our growth mindset can reframe it as a learning opportunity. But it might take a while to develop that. There's no easy way and there's no quick fix. We have to train our minds to work in this way and be a little bit more positive in a flexible approach, more so than a negative in a fixed approach. I ate that slice of cake but was upset. But what you could do differently next time you're upset is find alternative ways to dampen your upset. So alternative strategies, if you like, rather than reach for that slice of cake, think about something else that will lead you away from food, and put your mind on a strategy that will help with you being upset, but isn't about putting food or grabbing food and eating. So, practical takeaways: embrace failures as learning opportunities. And I think we do try and do that, but yeah, it's difficult. There's no getting around that. And surround yourself with positive influences, cultivating gratitude, and that's so important. We've heard a lot over the last few years about being kind to ourselves. I think since COVID, that's been a phrase that we've really tried to adopt. Um, and there's never been a better time to embrace that ethos more so than when you're trying to lose weight. So do focus on the long-term success rather than the quick fix, I think is the important takeaway.
Mm, absolutely. And also, I think if something doesn't go right, it's about reframing it, isn't it, in your head and just thinking, okay, so I had the cake. I'm feeling really cheesed off with myself. And I know personally that for myself and for many other people I speak to, if you've had that cake, it almost like opens the door to feeling a sense of failure, feeling that you might as well just give up because you just can't get it right. And it sort of like becomes a catalyst for really negative behavior. So if instead you flip it on its head and think, okay, I've had the cake, no big deal. What can I learn about this? Can I learn that actually sometimes I do need cake and I need to enjoy it? Or can I learn that actually when I'm feeling really cheesed off, if there's cake hanging around and I know where to find it, then I'm going to eat it. So I need to move the cake or not have it in the house. What can we learn from these things? I think for me personally, and one of the things I'm learning is about just reflecting and learning from things that haven't gone so well and thinking about what I could do differently next time around and just changing the mindset around it rather than letting it be the thing that the catalyst for a whole raft of continued negative behavior where you might end up putting weight back on, just learning about it and putting a full stop in that whole process.
Yeah,
So,
and it's the aftermath of eating the cake, isn't
yeah,
it? Because if you're feeling miserable anyway, you might enjoy that cake for a few seconds, a few
yeah.
moments, but afterwards you're probably left feeling even more miserable than you were before.
Well, it might give you like that temporary dopamine boost and a little bit of a lift in your mood when you actually have that physical enjoyment that, we're very finely tuned to having that boost of happiness from eating those less healthy things, but it's not long lasting. For most of us, it isn't long lasting. So it's just about learning that, isn't it? And I guess one of the things that we talk about that I wanted to talk about today is this whole your why. And I know from talking to lots of people over the years with the Boots Online Doctor and also with just other people about weight management that we can find it really hard to know why we're doing something. We almost do it because we feel we need to. We almost do it as a sense of just continued effort. We do it because that's what we've always done. We do it, but we don't really engage with that sort of emotional tangling of why this is important. So I want you, as a result of being here today, what I'd love for everyone is to actually think about why you're here today, number one. Why are you on this weight loss journey? What is it that's so important to you? Because what we think about on the surface may be one reason, but actually there are often deep-seated reasons. And sometimes we have to really drill in. We have to ask ourselves a series of questions to really find out what is at the heart of the most important reason why this is important to us. Is it, the thing that will keep you on track when the going gets tough? Because as Alison has said, the going unfortunately does get tough. The going isn't straightforward. A weight loss journey isn't linear. It isn't just I'm going to lose weight and hey presto, every week on week, a pound comes off or 2 pounds come off. We sometimes have weeks where we lose a few pounds. We have weeks where we don't lose any weight and they can derail us unless we have that absolute sense of perspective as to, okay, this is the long game. I'm here for my long-term fix. This isn't a quick fix situation. We want to get rid of all of that quick fix mindset. And Christine, you shared in the chat box just now, say thank you for sharing that you've often reached your target weight, but you found it really difficult to maintain it. And you're back in that situation now where you're almost there. But, obviously it's quite scary when you're almost there again. You want to figure out how you're going to maintain that. And we have got a whole webinar about how to maintain your weight loss once you're there. And actually, it takes all of the effort that you're putting in now, plus a little bit more. You need to keep that focus. And this
It's a really
why,
common issue, isn't it?
yeah, it's really
Yeah.
common. I think nearly everyone we spoke to in a webinar recently about the weight loss maintenance, most than 90% of people had at some point lost weight and regained it. So we're not alone in that. And actually, I think if you come into this process with a diet mindset and all you focus on is the here and the now, it becomes really difficult once you've lost weight to actually keep your focus on staying healthy, because you're in that sort of like in this bubble of being on a diet. We want to sort of almost lose that flavor and that attitude. We want to be thinking about the journey of our health and the support for healthy bodies. And that's something that we need to turn up to most days of every week, really, as much as we can. And if we shift our mindset away from it all being about weight loss, it can really help. So I think this is why this is such an important webinar. So you can do this thing called a 5 whys technique if this is something you really struggle with. So you start yourself off by asking yourself, why is this important? And repeatedly just drilling in a little bit deeper and deeper. So it could be that you want to lose weight, but actually, why is it? Why do you want to lose weight? And you'll come up with an answer and then just ask the next question, which is, why is that important to me? And you dig in and in and in again. So talking about, had a client I was working with, and she really wanted to lose weight. She'd lost about 20 pounds, but she still had 2 or 3 stone that she wanted to lose. And she was finding this really, really challenging. And actually, one of the things that became important to her was understanding how important it was for her children to see her as an energetic role model. And so, actually, her deep seated reason was about the impact of how she was living her life and what impact that was having on the people around her. We're all different. So for me, it's about being in the water and actually being able to go bodyboarding and surfing. And actually, when I'm doing that, I'm so happy. And actually, for me, that's an absolute why, because if I lost my health or my mobility, that would be really difficult. And actually, whenever I'm doing those activities that make me feel alive, then I know that's why I want to be healthy. So it's all different for all of us, isn't it? So I can see from the poll that a lot of you are here and want to be losing weight for your health. I'm really pleased to hear that. I think if we put something in there as a health focus, is there something you can monitor in terms of your health? Do you know what it is that you want to improve in terms of your health? Is it blood glucose? Is it blood pressure? Is it your energy? Is it your mental focus? What is it that's going on for there? What is there something for? So interesting. The question was, is there something you want to do that being your current weight is getting in the way of? Now, this is a really good question, I think. So 66% of you have said, yes, that is actually true. So what is it you want to do that you can't currently do because you're perhaps a little bit larger than you need to be or you feel uncomfortable? So I can see a lot of people want to reduce their blood pressure. Lots of people want to fit into their clothes. People want to focus on getting up and down the stairs easily. That's a really important one, isn't it? Feeling confident when you look in the mirror for many people is a really big factor. So the thing that's going to be hardest for people, resisting emotional eating, is our top answer. So 54% of you are saying that is going to be your hardest challenge. We actually have all sorts of webinars based around changing habits, coping with emotional, the psychology of eating, the psychology of weight loss. So come along to those if you can. Saying no to family and friends. We've got Easter holidays here now, so that can be a really challenging time with lots of chocolate floating around. If you're a chocolatey person, that can be difficult. Self-belief. 20% of you are thinking that, actually your self-belief, believing you can do this, is one of the things that can be really challenging. So we need to help you with that. 100%. It's really interesting, isn't it? And I think it's really important for us to be digging in and looking at all of these things. So if there's anything you want to share or anything you want to ask around these, do let us know. Kate, you're saying, and thank you for sharing, you can't fit comfortably into a plane seat or fit in your kayak. Brilliant, which you used to really enjoy. So you're there with me in the sea. That's where I want to be. That's the thing that makes me feel alive and really happy. So yeah, getting in a plane seat, really important if you want to travel. Walking netball, I want to do it, but my back hurts too much at the moment. Beverly, there you go. There's your why. Resisting alcohol, Steve. There is your thing that is going to trip you up. So let's do it.
Mm.
Um, okay. So somebody's put a comment. I answered a message this morning. I'll pick up on that in a minute. It's quite long, so thank you. And really good to see your feedback. So why can't we have half the sliced cake? Why to give it up
Oh
and not
yeah,
have it
no,
at all?
yeah,
Love
I
it.
wanted to comment on this because, oh, Nicola, please don't think we're saying to give up cake.
Yeah, good point. We're not, are we? We're
Yeah,
absolutely
no,
not. We're saying
absolutely not.
we talk about food next week and the week after. We've got very food orientated webinars, but ask your food questions today if you want to. No, we want you to have cake. And actually, you're right. Even just having one or two bites of cake is often enough. What we know is that the pleasure of eating those foods comes in the first or second bite. You don't need the whole slice. I think that's a great point. So yeah, have your cake and you can still lose weight. We just don't want to eat it all of the time and in excessive amounts. So let's go forward. Alison, are you going to talk about goals?
Yeah, so goals. So key points with goals. And it's about linking your goals to your why. So what Ruth has just been talking about, why do I want to lose weight? So trying to connect the goals with those whys. So your goals should reflect your deeper purpose. Again, what Ruth was saying, going deeper, deeper, deeper into the reasons why you want to lose weight. And psychologically, that can really put your mindset into a good place. An example is if your why is to empower others, your goal might involve mentoring or community leadership. So if you have a role um, where it's really crucial or it's really important to you to be a healthy weight and to be seen as a healthy weight, um, because you feel that you can empower others to maybe do the same for whatever reason they may have for doing it, then that can be a really good reason, and a really good goal that links well into your why. So benefits of focusing on short-term goals. Immediate motivation. So achieving small wins boosts your confidence and does build momentum. An example here, completing a week of daily walks makes you excited to continue. And again, that can very much link to habitual behaviour. So making a walk a habit. So much of the advice and issues and information we've talked about in the webinars can be very much connected and follow on from one another. So building those habits. Increase consistency. So small manageable actions are easier to stick with, of course. We know creating healthy habits, that word habit, over time. But example here, choosing whole foods for 1 week helps form the habit of mindful eating. Number 3, enhances enjoyment. So achievable goals make the process feel rewarding rather than overwhelming. Example, seeing progress in how you feel, i.e. having more energy, better mood, keeps you engaged. And when you do actually start to see the results of your weight loss, that does a lot for maintaining your motivation as you go through. Measurable progress, number four. So, short-term goals give you clear markers of success, helping you to stay focused. Example, I completed 3 workouts this week is a very tangible accomplishment and something to build on as well. Okay, so I completed 3 this week. Maybe I could do 4 next week or in the next 2 weeks, whatever it might be. So, leading on to further goals. And five, reinforces a positive mindset. So, success in smaller goals cultivates confidence and a sense of capability. And that's so important. Example, if I can drink 8 glasses of water daily this week, I can tackle next week's goal too. So, once you've been a success, on that first occasion, the likelihood is that that can motivate you and put your mindset into the positive frame to consistently achieve that goal moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And
Keep you
if it's a
going.
new habit, it might take longer than a week to nail it. So it might be that you have to set that as a goal for a few weeks rather than just saying, oh, well, I've achieved it and here I am. So, be kind, back to that kindness, Alison, isn't it? Be kind to yourself, be realistic, really just celebrate your success because our brains really enjoy the celebration. They do really well. That dopamine, that reward feeling, the feeling of feeling good in ourselves comes from celebrating when we get something right. So if we make those goals very short, very small, very tangible, very easy to achieve, and then we celebrate when we achieve it, it's going to give us that boost that's going to keep us going. So I think it's really important, isn't it? And one of
Yeah.
the questions I wanted to ask today as well is whether apart from your weight and the scales, which can be something that can really boost us when we see things going in the direction we want them to, but what else, apart from your weight, can you focus on as a measure of success? Because we often hear, don't we, Alison, from people who are sort of hitting a point in their weight loss journey where they're not seeing the scales moving dramatically
Mhm.
quickly. It can derail your sense of success and your success, the feelings of being overwhelmed and like you're not achieving can creep in and can almost make you feel quite negative. And I think what we want is for you to look at the journey rather than a tiny snapshot view. So what is it apart from your weight that you personally could look at? Is it your energy? Somebody mentioned the blood pressure. Are you monitoring that at home? How will you know that you're really making some success moving forward? Is it how you feel, in terms of your mood or your emotional well-being? Is it your sleep? Is it centimeters on a tape measure? What is it that you could be measuring that isn't just about getting on and off the scales? Is it somebody was saying they wanted to walk up and down the stairs comfortably? So what does that mean? Do you know how you feel now? Are you writing that down so that in 3 weeks' time, when you're beginning to feel better, you'll know that there's a tangible improvement? Because I think
Mhm.
sometimes when we're living with ourselves and we're living in these bodies of ours, we can't always recognize the wins when they're happening. So we almost need to have, that's why scales are easy because it's a very obvious way of monitoring, but it doesn't always tell us what we need to know. And it can become a fixation that has the ability to derail our mood. And we want to move away from that. So, is there something, can you chart your energy? Can you give your energy a sort of quantifiable number in your diary? If it's not very good, what number would you give it? You could use a scale from 1 to 10 or from 1 to 6. It's about being consistent and just keep an eye. If you're
Yeah.
eating healthily every day or eating that protein every day or you're bringing in more vegetables, is it that you're noticing that your energy is feeling better? Is it that your tummy is more comfortable? Is it that your digestion is working better for you? What are those added benefits? Because sometimes if we're keeping an eye on those, that can really help and motivate us as well. And I think
Yeah.
that's really
And
important.
it just made me think of journaling and the importance of
Yeah.
journaling when you're on a journey, not just weight loss, but but anything in your lives. It's so or it can be so powerful. I don't know if you talk about journaling at any point, Ruth, in the
We
webinars,
do
but
actually, yeah, but maybe we could talk about it
yes,
more because it is such a powerful strategy, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, and I'd probably say that was my top tip actually. Is journaling, being able to look back, see where you were, see how you've come. It is so powerful.
Yeah, and it is, and also just I think that numerical score system for energy or for breathlessness or for blood pressure or blood pressure again, it's quite tangible, isn't it? So we can easily monitor what's going on there. Our pulse can be quite helpful in terms of just measuring our overall wellness. If you're getting fitter, your pulse level will generally start to reduce slightly when you're at rest. So there are all sorts of things we can monitor for our health that could be really helpful for us all to be thinking about. So yeah, so really we want you to be thinking about developing this very flexible approach to yourself, your health, your measurements of success. Really thinking about that why, really thinking about the wider elements of weight loss and how you're going to feel different, which isn't just about the scales, it's about your confidence, it's about feeling great, it's about how you feel when you look in the mirror or the clothes that you wear that make you feel happy, or actually learning to eat foods that love you back, and actually just developing a completely different relationship with yourself and food can be very empowering. So it's really worth taking some time to think about that. Are there certain foods that you love that you need to eat less of? Are there certain foods that you're not so keen on that you need to learn some recipes that will inspire you to eat them a bit more often? And what is it that could make a difference to you? And I think goal setting, really keep it simple, keep it small, really feel that sense of achievement when you achieve it. And yeah, keep it simple. For me, that's really crucial. I think we can over-egg it so much, can't we? So
Yeah,
that's the end of our
definitely.
slides. Just to remind everyone, thanks, Alison. We're here next week. It's bank holiday on Monday, so we've swapped the day. We're going to be here on Tuesday. So please do come along on Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about what to eat. And then the following week, we're back to the Monday slot because it's not a bank holiday, but bizarrely, straight after that, beginning of May, is another bank holiday. So again, we've switched over to the Tuesday. We used to not do any webinars those weeks. And so we've decided for the next series of bank holidays, we're going to see if it helps for us to continue offering some sort of support through the webinars, but swapping to the Tuesday. So do come along if you can. We'll be really interested to know whether this is something you think is a good idea. I guess if we don't have anyone here, then we'll probably not do that swap. We'll just not do a webinar that week. So yeah, we're here for you really 100%. So this is all about you. So we're going to stop sharing the slides now, and we'll come to your comments and questions. So thank you. Great. Can you see the Q&A box? Okay, Alison.
I can.
Great.
So, will you be sending a recording of this meeting to participants? It's on the, you have to remind me, Ruth.
Yeah. So what happens with the recording is our IT support team at Boots Online Doctor will just check the recordings of a good enough quality to share. And if they're happy that it is, it will go onto YouTube. And then once it's on YouTube, which will be in the next sort of 24 to 48 hours, we will send you an email to let you know. And so for anyone who's signed up for the webinar, will receive an email to let you know that the recording is available and a link through to YouTube, and then it will be available to review. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I'm shortly having to have a break from taking Wegovy as I'm having oh, okay. So
Yeah.
how do people manage an interim period when they've had to stop their treatment? Is that something we can talk about
Yeah,
here?
absolutely. It's
Yeah,
fine. Yeah. It's very generic. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
great. So what we would recommend is we've got a good couple of webinars coming up over the next couple of weeks, which are all about how to eat and um, what to eat. So that they'd be great if you could come along to those. I what I think is generally true for most people who've been on a weight loss medication is you might notice that there's a tiny amount of weight regain when you stop taking that medication. It shouldn't be a huge amount, but just an initial, you might just see an initial shift slightly, or you may see none. Try not to be derailed by that. And the whole purpose for us in running the webinars is that we 100% know that for anyone to be having a long-term successful weight loss journey, generally there needs to be some shift in terms of how you eat, what you eat, when you eat. And your lifestyle can sometimes be a big factor in weight. So we know that it is for many people around food and your relationship with food. We also know it's about lifestyle, it's about where we live, the food that's available to us. It's about what's in our fridge, how our family are around food, how our friends expect us to behave. It's all of those things. So we have to take stock of all of the factors that are relevant to each and every one of us that make a difference to all of those things and to our weight. So it's about really figuring out those things. And this is why we've created these webinars, because we pick up on all of those various topics. It could be that for some people, stress is a key fundamental factor in their difficulty in losing weight or in difficulty in maintaining their weight. So we have webinars about all of those various subjects. You'll get a lot of the replays on YouTube of previous runnings of those webinars to have a look at those. Maybe just set yourself some really tangible goals and meal plan, just keep it really simple. We've got our core eating plan. So Raman, if you could share the core eating plan and the Mediterranean diet, those would be great for you to really just pick up on, to really get familiar with, to just meal plan around the sort of strategies around those eating approaches. And if you do that and you turn up for yourself, then then you'll be doing well. I know it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's really not complicated at all. It feels very scary when you're taking a break and you've been relying on a weight loss medication. You can do this. We know you can do this.
Yeah, and also thinking about portion sizes as well, Ruth, which I guess would go hand in hand with meal planning, but really trying to focus on how much food you are dishing up for yourself and finding strategies that can deviate away from eating more, a little bit of what we've talked about today.
Yeah, I think make sure you're hydrated as well, because I think a lot of people are really inadequately drinking enough water or clear fluids, and that can make a big difference to appetite. Somebody's asking about appetite,
Yeah,
and I
water
think,
can really fill you up, can't it? If you, especially if you drink it quickly.
yeah, yeah, very
Yeah.
much. And also, there's some really interesting research around even if you were to drink 500 milliliters of water with each meal, that can really make a difference to successful weight loss. So, there are things that we now know that as simple as they are, they can make that difference. If you're really struggling with hunger, one of the things that really is important for you to do is to make sure you're eating enough protein. So, Raman, if you don't mind sharing the equation, but it's sort of basically a minimum of zero point 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight at your current body weight. And so you need to really be working out how much protein you need and then break that down into your 3 meals a day and have that amount for each meal, and really nail that. Get that, get those healthy vegetables in, the colorful ones, which are very filling, full of fiber, really help our gut microbiome, really help in terms of managing appetite as well. So fiber and protein together are really your best friends. And then adding in that layer of water and the healthy fats. And if you can do all of that, you can, yeah, it's actually, Kate, I've just seen your question, how much protein is that?
Mm.
It's a sizable amount of protein. And that's why we want you to calculate it for yourselves, because everyone here is going to weigh a different amount. So there's no point me saying every woman should eat X amount of grams of protein because it's a complete nonsense. Alison, you're much shorter than me and you're slenderer than I am. So how much protein you would eat would be significantly different to how much I would need to eat. So we all have our own personal targets. Just and if you find maths really hard, then just do it based on 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So if you're a hundred, if you weighed 100 kilograms, then eat 100 grams of protein a day. Make it as simple as possible. That's absolutely fine to do that as well.
Mm,
So yeah, don't fog yourselves with the numbers. Just make sure you're getting it as right as you can.
yeah. All those lovely beans and pulses and chickpeas.
I love chickpeas, yeah.
Yeah.
And eggs if you eat eggs, and fish if you eat fish, and chicken. We're all different. We all have different things we enjoy. Somebody is saying that they're really waiting for surgery. So thank you for sharing that. And that sort of trying to lose weight through diet alone is really hard, especially when you're, struggling with pain and immobility because your lower limbs are waiting for surgery. That is very tough. Try and add in those anti-inflammatory foods as much as you can from the Mediterranean diet. And just, again, it's a journey. So maybe set a goal that is really achievable in terms of how much water you drink, how much protein you're eating, um, how much time you're going to have between eating. We'll talk about that in the next couple of weeks webinars, but actually having gaps between our food really helps in terms of calming down that insulin response. And insulin, if we have a lot of insulin bounding around, it can be very inflammatory. So, also just bringing down that inflammation as a whole can make a difference. Yeah.
Mm. I just wanted as well, talking about water intake, Ruth, the question earlier on about resisting alcohol. Alcohol is problematic,
Um,
or can be. Um, but the simple strategy, and I was talking to someone about this actually the other day, of drinking, they were actually drinking pop. I wouldn't advise drinking pop, but that's just me thinking about teeth again. But if you try and break up the volume of drinks you're having with a drink of water, so drink of whatever alcohol it is you're wanting to drink, then drink a drink of water and follow that pattern, it can really help cut down on alcohol intake that you might have in one evening or whatever. It sounds really simple, but it can be very effective.
and I think the simple solutions, I'm a great believer in simple solutions, Alison, as I'm sure you know. Um, I think the simpler we make it, the easier it is to follow as well. So, absolutely. We're not great believers, Kate, in diet sodas and things like Diet Coke or Coke Zero. Now, the reason is that they have a lot of less healthy additives in. Even if we took that away, that's one issue for me. But the other main issue in terms of weight management is that our body will still is very primitive, actually. We're still very primitive. We haven't really developed hugely from our ancestors. So we're still back to where we were when our grandparents were children. We can't differentiate between a drink that tastes sweet without sugar and a drink that tastes sweet with sugar. So what will happen is our body will have the same insulin response to that drink, whether it's got sugar in, whether it's got a sweetener in. We'll get a message that we've received something sweet. And as a result of receiving that message, we will create insulin so that we manage the apparent sugar that we may or may not be receiving in our blood sugar. So we'll then have an insulin response to that drink. The insulin is the thing that we absolutely, the science is 100% here that insulin is one of the things that we really need to be controlling in terms of weight management. So we want to reduce our insulin um, levels down to be as manageable and as low as possible. So if we eat in a way that we're eating lower sugar foods, lower sugar carbohydrates, lower glucose products, and we're eating the healthy fats and the low glycemic foods, and we're not putting in those artificially sweetened drinks, our blood sugar management will be that we will be really on as even a keel as our bodies can be, and that will really help us to release fat and to lose weight. So it's a really important point. It's a really weird one because you believe that you're doing the right thing by having those sort of diet sodas, but actually the science just doesn't stack up at the moment. So we have to be very cautious. I would say just have clear water, water with natural fruit in for flavor, or some mint or some cucumber. It's a acquired taste. We can change our taste buds. It's a really important step. Do you yeah, you agree with all that, Alison, don't you?
Oh, I do agree with that. I was just reading Kate's question, what's the minimum amount of water to drink? I believe it's two litres a day, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Recommended.
Depending on how much we weigh, there's really a lack of science around how much water we should drink. But generally, for most of us, we should be having 1.5 to 2 litres as a minimal. If you are carrying excess fluid, excess body weight, you may need to be thinking about slightly, definitely hitting that 2 litres. The only people who perhaps shouldn't be doing that is anyone who's got any problems with their kidneys, or who've been put on a fluid restriction for any health reason, in which case you need to adhere to that recommendation based on what your medical provider has told you. So please, if that's you, then really do make a um, does that apply to zero Coke? Yeah, I'm afraid it's
It
all of
does,
those.
yeah.
Yeah, it's literally it's so upsetting. There are some drinks that don't have artificial sweeteners in that are more naturally sweet. I think I found some recently. I'll try and dig out the name for next week's webinar, that I thought weren't quite so bad that we could signpost you to. I don't have that in front of me now. So Nicola, I'll come up with that for next week if that's helpful. Great. So let's see. So another question around the whole water. There's some questions in the Q&A box. You mentioned fluid intake and clear liquid. I'm a big tea drinker, black tea, dash of milk, no sugar sweetener. Does this count towards fluid intake or is it only water? Um, I would recommend that you think about how much tea you're having across the course of a day. Again, interestingly, some of us will be able to drink tea and coffee without it really impacting our blood sugar, and others of us won't. Um, and unless we cut it down, we're not really going to know whether it's us or not. I would say generally clear fluids means water, or maybe those herbal teas or some fruit-based teas, but the ones which have less additives in as possible. So just water is the perfect answer. Adding those extra things can really just make it more palatable for some. So see how you get on. We've got also, there's something I do recommend for people with inflammatory um, issues, is something called tart cherry juice, but it is naturally quite sugary, but it can taste delicious, and you can add just a tiny amount of that to water. I also got talked into trying a delicious cherry tea from a high street tea company, and it was totally delicious. And then I looked at the packaging and I was utterly horrified to see how much sugar was in that tea. So just make sure you're checking the packets because it's not always what we think it is. See how you go. I know it is actually what we drink as well as what we eat. It's very important. Let us know how you get on. So
Yeah. This one about calculating calorie deficit, but am I not right in thinking that you'd need to understand how many calories is normal for you to consume in a day and then decide what the deficit would be?
yeah, so Raman could share the BMR
Is there a
calculator.
formula?
Yeah,
Okay.
so you can to calculate calories. So we really recommend generally if you're in for a fairly substantial amount of weight loss, we know that counting calories isn't absolutely the most perfect science simply because not all calories are equal. So every food will have a caloric value, but actually how that food lands in our body and the physiological response our body has to those calories or that food varies depending on the food, which is where the calorie story becomes a little less helpful. Having said that, it can sometimes just be helpful in terms of you were saying earlier, Alison, about portion sizes. So if you're somebody who really struggles to understand what a normal portion size is, then sometimes just checking in and doing those calorie counting for a couple of days, just get a sense of perspective around how much to eat, where those vegetables are very low in calories and what you can fill up on can really help. So that might be helpful. So one of the things you can do is you can get this thing called a BMR, the basal metabolic rate calculator. And we've just shared a link. Thank you, Raman. And so then you would take that, and then there is on the page, I think we're directing you to the Diabetes UK website. So on that page underneath is some additional information. So what you have to do is you have to multiply your BMR number by a set number, depending on how active you are, and that gives your caloric intake for a 24-hour period. And then the science suggests that we then take away 500 to 1,000 calories from that number to get us an idea of how much we would need to eat in terms of to lose weight. So you can see it's quite complicated. It's worth doing on your own at home. You can understand why we don't sit here doing that for 100 people because we would just be doing calculations the whole time. I personally have found it not to be the most helpful mechanism. And that's why we've got these next couple of webinars that are all about how to eat, what to eat. Because actually, one of the things we know that can really make a difference is how learning how to eat in a sustainable way that is for your health. And that will not only help you lose weight, but also help you maintain that weight loss. So that's what we want, is to give you the gift of not having to count calories because we know that's exhausting. Um, yeah, so good luck.
Yeah, we don't really talk about calories at
No,
all, do we, within our service?
no.
Um,
Occasionally we might signpost people, but generally we're keener for you to learn the basics around the foods that are going to be there for you. Okay, Kate, you've just asked a great question. So, oh yeah, water drop. Gordon, thank you. I came across water drop the other day or a couple of months ago on Waterloo Station, interestingly enough, and I bought some. They are really interesting. And yes, I believe they are okay to drink. I had a really good look at the packaging. So thank you for sharing that, Gordon. Good to be reminded of those. They're very nice little
I don't know
flavor
what they are
drops. Yeah,
actually.
they're little flavor drops that you add into a large amount of water.
Mm.
Gordon, have you got a particular flavor that you enjoy? Um, somebody's asking, Kate, you're asking, is
Pete.
sugar the enemy in relation to controlling insulin and blood sugar? Yes, it is the enemy, and also the hidden enemy of hidden, like low fat foods. Low fat foods generally have they've been mass produced. The other enemy are our ultra processed foods because we know that they've been created in a way whereby they are very moreish and they've been manufactured to make us want to eat more and more of them. It's very clever manufacturing. It's there to trip us up. It's not there to help us lose weight. So yeah, it is about knowing food, and we'll talk about all of that. Um, great. So Roxanne, let's have a look. Chamomile tea and really enjoying it. Well done.
Mm.
Hot and cold. Perfect. That is absolutely brilliant. Water drop. I can't, Rachel, but I have come across them and I did buy some. And I have to say, I haven't really used them because I'm a water drinker, but I bought them for one of my daughters. So I'll ask her. They're just a way of flavouring your water in a less unhealthy way. Thank you,
Are they
Gordon.
actually
Amazon.
called water drop? You can
They
probably
are. They
purchase
are
them anywhere,
literally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Rachel. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a look. And we'll find some links and share those with you next time because I think that is a good resource to signpost people to. Love the chamomile tea. Thank you for sharing that. And your taste buds have changed. Fantastic. Somebody was asking just now a very generic question about weight loss medication and how to know whether to increase the dose. We recommend staying on as low a dose as you can, as long as you're finding that you are doing all of these other lifestyle things around using that medication almost as a sort of prop on your journey. And only increasing if you're really finding that you're not losing weight, that your appetite is bounding away. But if you are finding that, then come to the webinars all around how to eat and what to eat. Because if we get that right and we start eating in a way that is supporting our blood sugar balance and reducing our production of insulin, those two steps will make a huge difference in terms of appetite control. So we're great believers in real food and making those changes as well. I hope that helps. Yeah. Are there any more questions in the Q&A box that we've missed?
Oh, just the
Somebody's,
cherry drink. What was
yeah.
that
So
one again, Ruth? Sorry.
it's a really funky cherry called the Montmorency cherry. So that's about Montmorency. It's a very bitter cherry. Um, it's delicious and very anti-inflammatory, really good for things like gout, interestingly enough. So, but
But you
don't
said there
drink
was
it
a
in
lot of sugar in
huge.
it.
There is. So you,
Yeah.
but because you dilute it, it's the dilution that disperses and helps with that. So that's why you don't want it in very neat form.
Mhm.
So good. We've done the calories, so thank you for asking about that. And it's helpful to talk about these things. Um, so thank you for asking. And hopefully the questions and the answers have been helpful. Somebody's going up, how to stay focused. You know what we were saying? Keep that focus by setting small, achievable goals. That is absolutely just, and don't make it all about weight. Make it about how far you can walk comfortably, whether you can go up and down stairs, whether you have energy, whether when you wake up in the morning you feel like bouncing out of bed. If you're getting that vibrant energy first thing in the morning, that, those sorts of things, the tangible things we can start measuring. I really hope that is helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And just to answer Kate's question there, is it important to reduce your medication gradually or have a plan? Um, do you know, Kate, it's so individual. A lot of people do prefer to titrate down the doses if they feel that their appetite does noticeably change with reducing dose. Um, but actually, you can stop these medications, just stop them dead. I'm not convinced there's been any research to support that either way is less effective, um, but we do advise people when they're nearing their chosen BMI about that. So when you reach that point, if that's what you're doing, we will give you more advice at that time.
Yeah, definitely. And remember, we're none of us in competition with anyone else. We're all on our own journeys. A healthy BMI for you might still be not the healthiest BMI, but it's about where you are. The research tells us that even if we lose 5 or 10% of our starting body weight, we are doing our health an enormous amount of good. It can make a significant difference to our blood sugar management, our heart health, our blood pressure. So it's about your personal journey. And sometimes, that's sort of like losing some weight, having a plateau, then taking the next chunk can be healthier than just setting yourself up for 2 years of constant focus. That's hard work. So it's about your journey, being in competition with you alone, and just checking in with yourself, setting those really achievable goals. Um, thank you, everyone. It's been a great webinar, really, really great questions. So thank you so much for those. Just to remind you, we're here on Tuesday next week. I hope that will work for some of you. And yeah, really look forward to seeing you then, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alison,
Are we done?
and
Yep.
thanks, Raman. I think we're going to close you there.
Yeah. Good
All right,
afternoon, everyone.
take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye-bye.
And thanks for that water drop, Gordon. Brilliant remembering. Perfect.